What happens when two bass road warriors spend quality time talking music and life with one of their peers? Bassist, educator, author David C. Gross and bassist and head honcho of KnowYourBassPlayer.com, Tom Semioli, trade dates with the legends of rock, jazz, funk, blues, folk, country, and more. Notes from an artist. Revealing conversations with the legends who've created the soundtrack of our lives. What happens? You're about to find out. It's another episode of Notes from an Artist.
Hi, folks. Welcome to our show.
Tonight's show is going to be all about the singer and the bass player. We have the amazing Kate Taylor and bassist Leland Sklar. And we're going to talk about their new album, Why Wait? David, as you recall, Kate Taylor first came to prominence in 1971. She did the album Sister Kate, which was one of the quintessential singer-songwriter albums. It featured many of who would go on to become the Mellow Mafia studio legends at the beginning of their career. Peter Asher, who was with the Beatles, of course. Mary Clayton, Carole King was on that record. Lee Sklar, Russ Kunkel, Linda Ronstadt, and her brother, James Taylor. The new record, Why Wait, features many of those artists. Kate Taylor, that record was primed to make her a star. Peter Asher wanted to make her a star, but she opted for a private life and suggested to Peter that she work with her friend, Linda Ronstadt, who had a little bit of commercial success. So we talk about a lot of things with Kate. We talk about the importance of the album format, the role of the singer-songwriter, the sound of LA in the 1970s. We talk about Martha's Vineyard, and Lee and Kate share many fond memories of their work together. This new album, Why Wait, not only features original songs by Kate, but it also features remakes and remodels and reimaginations of songs by Lennon and McCartney, Ed Sheeran, Lowell George, and Freddie Johnson. You enjoy talking to Kate, David?
I love talking with Kate and Lee. Besides the Why Wait record, not only has the immediate family, which basically are all the players that played with Kate, they have a new record coming out, which if it's anything like this first one, it's going to be great.
Let's take our listeners on a trip to LA, Dave.
I love it.
Can you hear us, Lee?
I hear you perfectly. Where's everybody located?
I'm in Connecticut.
I'm in a place called the Bronx, up in the country here. And Lee, where exactly are you in LA?
Pasadena.
Pasadena. Oh, okay. Beautiful, beautiful.
By the Rose Bowl.
Right.
Hi, Kate.
What are you guys talking about?
Where we are.
We're talking about Car 54 because Lee was saying how the Bronx brings up Car 54.
There's a holdup in the Bronx. Brooklyn's broken out in fights. There's a traffic jam in Harlem that's backed up to Jackson Heights. There's a scout troop short a child. Cruise ships do and I know wild. Car 54, where are you?
Is that where you are? Are you in the Bronx right now?
Tom's in the Bronx.
Tom's in the Bronx. Hi, Tom.
Hey,
hi, guys. Right now, I'm on the eastern shore of Menemsha Pond, which is in Chilmark.
My father-in-law lived in Tisbury.
Oh, really? Lives in
Tisbury.
Lives in
yeah, and hold on a second.
There he goes.
I had this on earlier.
Good.
My house is in Falmouth, my summer house, and so I overlook from the bedroom window Vineyard Haven.
All the black sheep of we are the Nantucket's long lost black sheep cousin.
That's it. Well, you know the story. There was Elizabeth, Martha, and Nancy, right?
I don't know the story.
Oh, you don't know the story? Oh,
tell us a story, David. You're a good storyteller.
So
there's the girl you
My
dated.
wife is saying, are you going to tell that crappy story again? And yes, I will. So,
oh my God.
This ship's captain had 3 daughters. And there were 3 islands, and he was going to give an island to each of the daughters. So the first one was Elizabeth. She got the Elizabeth Islands.
No.
Martha got the Martha's Vineyard. And then there was only one island left, so Nantucket.
No, Nantucket. Man, I love that.
David, I just got a call, David. Our show's been canceled.
Oh, good. Then we can actually talk some serious stuff.
Anyway, we're taping. We tape weeks over. So, David, look, David and I are 2 bass players, and now we have here, David, the singer and the bass player. What a relationship.
I know. Hi, Lee.
It takes 3 bass players to add up to a 1 singer.
No, that's not true. That's not true. It takes 3 singers to add up to 1 bass player. Oh, I see. You've got 3 of us. We've got 3 bass players right here.
Yeah,
that's it.
Well, I'm just going to bask in the glory. I'm going to listen to the bass talk because it's that bass players have the best stories.
They do.
They have the best backstage stories. They really have good collections of tales to tell.
That was John Johnny Cymbal doing Mr. Bassman. This is Notes from an Artist on CygnusRadio.com.
We're the ones that still care.
That's
But
exactly right.
we don't have a job unless it's the singer-songwriter. Okay, yeah. We'll be unemployed. We'd be three unemployed guys. Kate, what do you look for in a bass player?
Well, it's got to have a long white beard.
Let me check around.
Well, the good news is we're not going to take your job.
Well, I have had such good fortune in my musical life. I've worked with some wonderful players, and the glory of being able to work with someone like of the caliber of musicianship as Lee Sklar is. You know, it sort of set a tone for me because Leland recorded on my first album. He played bass on my first album. Right. 50 years ago.
That was Kate Taylor from her first album, doing You Can Close Your Eyes, written by her brother James. This is Notes from an Artist at CygnusRadio.com.
Then I watched him from afar as he played with all these other incredible players, including my brother, who he played with for decades and decades, and continues. And it continues. But Leland and I didn't get a chance to work with him again until we made this new album, which we just put out. There's just a sense when you're a singer that there's somebody's got your back. And that is a really good feeling with a bass player, that the bass player really does like the heartbeat of the band. And Lee is a master at this. And so, you know, I want to hear you bass players talk.
That was Kate Taylor doing He Caught the Katy, one of my favorite Taj Mahal tunes, and that's on her brand new release, Why Wait? This is Notes from an Artist on CygnusRadio.com.
Well, Lee, you find yourself in many situations. Last time I saw you, you were with Billy Cobham on the anniversary tour.
That was Stratus from Billy Cobham's first record, Spectrum. That featured one of our guests, Lee Sklar, on bass. This is Notes from an Artist on CygnusRadio.com.
When you get a call from Kate, what is your approach to the recording process? Do you ask for demos first? Do you like to come in fresh?
No, they did. She and Peter Asher and Jeff Allen Ross did a lot of prep homework. So when we arrived in the studio, they had pretty well thought out what they wanted to do. It was just a matter of us coming in, and they had baked the cake, and it was a delicious cake. They just needed some frosting and decoration on it, and that's kind of where it came, because the album came together very, very quickly.
Yeah, we really had a sort of a limited amount of time within which to pull it off, and so Peter and Jeff Allen Ross really did a masterful job, and I guess I was in there to some degree, you know, just getting all the arrangements and the ideas for the tempos and feel and stuff, and had it all. They really were quite organized. So I. But you call on the A players when you've got a Herculean amount of songs to record in a short amount of time, and they really stepped up. Plus, which these guys have all played together for so years and years, and so they don't have to talk; they just think on the same.
Yeah. I mean, having Russ Kunkel, and for me, it's like every time I work with Russ, it's like digging into the closet and finding those old slippers, and you put them on.
Oh, best.
It's just a natural thing. And the thing that's weird is it's not a nostalgic thing, because I felt that way with Russ the first day we played together 50 plus years ago.
That was James Taylor doing Mudslide Slim from the album Mudslide Slim and the Blue Horizon. And that featured both Russ Kunkel on drums and one of our guests, Lee Sklar, on bass. This is Notes from an Artist on CygnusRadio.com.
And then having Cooch there one day and having Albert Lee there and Roddy. It was an amazing bunch. And basically almost everything we got in the first or second takes.
Yeah, it's true.
It went very quickly and also it makes a big difference when the artist is there, because then it becomes a song and not a chart. There's a real difference when I do sessions and the artist isn't there and there's nobody doing vocals, or they got somebody doing scratch. And then when you hear the real artist come in, suddenly you go, oh God, that's the vibe we were looking for. So it was a real treat to walk in every day. Plus, Kate, you exude an aura of enthusiasm that that is really infectious for the whole room. I mean, everybody just steps up because you're kind of where it all comes from. And if there's that excitement and enthusiasm, everybody goes to that. If the artist comes in and they're sort of a pant load and just sitting in the back and not contributing, your give a shit level kind of is one notch down. But I have to say it was such an enjoyable experience to be back in. And the thing that I just kept sitting there going, how can she still look so adorable 50 years later? And I've turned into this old curmudgeon that's sitting in the corner of the room and just going, what the hell?
That's called the rose-colored glasses. This is why we lose our sight over time.
Oh, yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, I know. It's good that the eyes are generally the first to go. And then you don't have to listen to all this crap that people are talking.
Or see your belly growing at the same time.
It's interesting, Lee, okay, you mentioned First Takes, because this album just has just a fresh veneer to it. It's almost as if it's a live record.
Oh, that's nice to hear.
It bounces off the grooves, and there is something to be said about recording First Takes. I'm sure you both have been in sessions where the artist does 40 takes, and then you wind up going back to the first one.
That's a very cool record. It's called In Harmony, and there were two versions. It was In Harmony 1 and In Harmony 2. They were both Sesame Street records with great artists singing children's song. That track featured Kate, Livingston, and James Taylor, and Lucy and Carly Simon. It was the Simon Taylor family. This is Notes from an Artist on CygnusRadio.com.
The first one has there's that little edge of its newness that after a while, although there's great stuff to be said for getting really, really familiar and grooving together, but there's that sort of adrenaline rush from the first take. Yeah.
There's this abandon that happens with first takes that you haven't started thinking yet.
Right.
Exactly.
It really feels good to have the whole band in the building. You're communicating, between takes and between songs but everybody's in the room. It's like it just it just feels much more to me, cohesive and richer. It may be that I just like being in the room with all the players, but
right. You're absolutely right.
That if you all of a sudden you go, wait a minute, we could just change this here, this and that, and then everybody's on. You can't go. You don't have to go back to the drummer and say, how about this feel? Or it's just there's something really organic about it.
That was Kate Taylor from her brand new release, Why Wait? It was a tune called I Got a Message. This is Notes from an Artist on CygnusRadio.com.
Maybe that's what feels live, is just the fact that we were in the room together.
Yeah, and you've always liked Kate. You've always liked. I was just saying, you have a yen for rhythm and blues anyway. So it's kind of a funky record in that sense as well.
I was so surprised when somebody told me that I was a soul singer. I had no idea. but I'm drawn to that music, and I like all different kinds of music. But the soul stuff is so much fun. The R&B, it's what I put on the record player generally. A lot of times, and I'm just drawn to it. So it was an honor. It's an honor and a privilege to hear you say that, Tom. So thank you so much.
And bass players just love an R&B feel. We hate playing just quarter notes, don't we, David?
Num-nums can be all right.
We don't want to hurt their feelings. They are fine. They have them. They're going to come back and bite you if you don't treat them right.
I just want to say one thing. It was the most joyous experience to do this tour with you and Peter.
Oh, my God.
Get up every night and play your music from the album and just feel the crowd, how much the crowd was totally loving you, and such a good band that Peter put together for it. And it was for my first foray into getting back out and playing live since pandemic set in. Yeah. I'm really glad that it got to be with you.
I thank you so much. I feel the exact same way, Lee. Although for me to play with you is it's such an extraordinary gift. I'm still kind of coming down and realizing what that was. That tour was extraordinary. Those players, when we went to these beautiful theaters. I love those places that the community is restored. and great sound, and of course the band, and the professionalism of the band, and just boom, boom, boom. Every night was a real treat. And then there was something new and different about every night too. And, but boy, these guys are road warriors. I mean, they are so, you just have to watch, how to do it. These are the guys you watch, taking the tempo of how they pace their day. And, they know what they're doing. I loved every minute of it. It was so much fun. But thank you for saying that. I do think about, wow, wouldn't it be great if when we get back to it again someday. Are you busy right now, Lee? You got lots going on?
Well, we're kind of getting ready with the immediate family band.
Right.
With Russ and Cooch and Waddy and Steve. We're hitting the road in November.
Are you going to be on the East Coast?
Yeah, we'll be 3 gigs in the West Coast, and then we head east. And I think we're going to be up in your neck of the woods. So I will shoot you off our schedule, or if anybody wants to check, it's the Immediate Family Band on Facebook. And
I've seen them. Yeah.
We're kind of all around. We're like gum on your shoe. You think you got in the house safe, and there you are, smeared up.
That was Slippin' and Slidin' by The Immediate Family. This is Notes from an Artist on CygnusRadio.com.
So we're getting ready to start rehearsing next week and
excellent.
Try to re-grease the wheels at this point.
I can't wait to see you guys. That'll be fun. I've always wanted to see the Immediate Family. All these you guys who really are the Immediate Family and have played together for so long, but also everybody's so familiar with you guys from all the music you've played with other people, either together or in different bands. And so to get to see you doing your own stuff, it's a real treat.
It's a hoot.
It's a hoot.
That was another track from the Immediate Family. That's called Divorced. I like this band. This is Notes from an Artist on CygnusRadio.com.
So how has the pandemic affected you guys? Obviously, technology being what technology is, you were able to at least hone in your parts, so to speak. How did that feel for you?
Jump in, Kate, and then I'll do mine.
I'm not sure what the pandemic was. There was a year and a half of something that it's a big, vague, foggy blur of what happened. I did get to go in but it was funny because there would be weeks where I'd have one thing on the calendar to do, and days ahead I'd be going, oh my God, how am I going to have enough time to get ready for that? I mean, time slowed down, but I think it was a really great. It has its pluses. I think stopping the entire world and saying, "Wait a minute, let's just think about this," because we were churning and burning as a beautiful orb of life on the planet, and it was not a bad thing. In all the tragedy of it, there are some silver linings, and I guess maybe we don't want to take the losses that we in vain. We might as well get something out of this thing. But as far as I was able to communicate with Peter and Jeff about the arrangements for the songs, once we decided, we were sort of in the middle of the pandemic when we decided to pull the trigger on this recording. We had to put off, going to come out in August, and then we put it off, and then till October. So, I was able to fly out and with the boys, it was sort of a little pocket of time that felt comfortable. I don't know. I just think the pandemic, we're going to be thinking about it for a long time about how it affected us.
I would not disagree. Yeah. Lee, how about you?
I'm really glad you expressed it that way, because to me, it was almost like a double-edged sword. You have the complete horrid tragedy of the amount of deaths and loss during this period. Yet, I think personally, there was a lot of positives that came out of it, out of necessity, because I had like a year's worth of work that disappeared like a fart in a hurricane. It was just boom, gone. And you're suddenly sitting there going, well, now what?
Yeah.
And it really made you kind of dig into I've never thought about a plan B. It's always, plan A has always been like right there. And I ended up doing my book, which I've got
your photography.
A photo essay book.
Yes, indeed.
Did that, ended up starting by accident, starting a YouTube channel. And
you're a media star now.
Yeah, and there's 165,000 pretty rabid people on the channel, and I just finished. I'm getting ready to put up my as soon as we finish this is my daily YouTube. I've put up, I think this will be 721 videos. I haven't missed a day since March.
Congratulations. That's impressive.
It's pretty insane. Then I had never recorded at home before in my entire life. And I had, because I would always use this as an excuse. If somebody wanted me to do something, I'd say, send me files, and I'd call up a friend who had a home studio, and it would be an excuse to go hang out, have lunch with them, and then just throw a bass part on. But suddenly, with the separation and lockdown, I couldn't do that. And a friend called me and asked me if I would they were doing Easy Lover, Phil Collins, Philip Bailey, Easy Lover. And they said, would you put bass on it? And I said, I'd love to, but I can't. I'm not set up for home recording. And they had a friend at SSL. So SSL sent me a SSL 2 Plus interface, and I contacted Steve Postel from our band, who's like one of the studio nerds. And I said, what's this GarageBand thing? And he showed me how to hook up into that. And I ended up starting to I've done about, 10 or 12 albums now.
Oh my God, that's fantastic.
It's fun because it's all the way from Ireland to Brazil to New Zealand. It's artists all over the world. So I've been having, it's not the world I want to live in, because I still like working with people as plan A, but as plan B goes, that's been great. And then the band we kept working through the whole thing, remotely. We were doing EPs and video, a cappella videos, and we had finished our new album before the pandemic. But all of a sudden, it was supposed to be out last November, and it seemed like completely throwing it away by release. So the album just came out about 5 weeks ago, and we're getting ready to hit the road. And Denny Tedesco, who made the Wrecking Crew movie, is in editing mode now about a documentary film about the band. It's been like a ferociously busy thing. So I find myself slightly embarrassed. The riches that this year brought, not financially, because very little of this has made me any money, but that wasn't my motivation. Like the YouTube channel, everything I've put up is copyright protected, so I don't make any money on the YouTube, but I so dig it. And I formed a clubhouse on the YouTube channel, and twice a month I do like a 2-hour live stream, which will be this afternoon or tomorrow. After what is today?
Okay.
It's this afternoon, and I sit there, and there's a couple of hundred people come on, and we sit and chat, and then once a month I have one-on-ones with people on Skype and Face. So it's like all this stuff going on besides just being home, being with my wife and the puppies, and doing yard work and stuff. So it's actually probably been a busier year than I would have had this not
fascinating.
That was Randy Newman doing Roll with the Punches with one of our guests, Lee Sklar, on bass. This is Notes from an Artist on CygnusRadio.com.
Well, Lee, we were going to wait till the very, very end, but I think now that you've spoken of your book, it's time for Tom and I to join it. Ready, Tom?
Yes.
1, 2, 3.
Do it and let me get a screenshot of you. Do it again.
Okay.
Yeah, we
1,
second take.
2, 3.
Got it.
There you go. Well, it's interesting. You're a YouTube star. David and I started the radio show during lockdown, and another colleague of yours who has a fabulous presence on YouTube and has been doing Zoom interviews is Ron Carter.
Yeah, I did one with Ron.
Yeah.
And Leland must have mentioned me to Ron, because Ron called me up and we had a chat.
Okay.
Oh, great. Yeah.
Ron played on a record that I made in New York City in 76 or 78, something like that.
That was Stubborn Kind of Woman from Kate Taylor with Ron Carter on bass. This is Notes from an Artist on CygnusRadio.com.
Ron came to our show at the City Winery.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Oh, my God.
Well, we did an interview with Ron, and then we decided that we needed to do a special class with Ron. So we have this sort of side thing called Tips from the Top. And he had just come out with the Chartography book, which is a wonderful book of, it's 5 different versions of Autumn Leaves, one per year, where instead of just giving one chorus, he goes through like 4 or 5 choruses and shows you his thought process. It was wonderful.
That was Miles Davis doing Autumn Leaves with Tony Williams, Herbie Hancock, Wayne Shorter, and Ron Carter. This is Notes from an Artist on CygnusRadio.com.
The problem with the book is you can't put it in your bass case.
Yeah.
Of course, you're not going anywhere.
You're right about the inspiration and the positives of this. I wrote 11 bass books that I self-published on Amazon. Various things from six-string bass to Coltrane's changes, et cetera, and so on. So I've really been enjoying it. It's been a nice. Now my wife wants me out on the road, but that I understand.
Don't they all?
Funny little thing. When I was in Aztec Two-Step, we used to work with Livingston all the time. Sometimes he opened for us. Sometimes we'd open for him, primarily around the East Coast, but it was a great time. Many years ago.
And you live to tell the tale.
Somewhat, yeah.
I mean, Livingston, that's great. Yeah, I love that. He's a great performer, isn't he? He worked maybe at that time or maybe earlier, he worked with a bass player, Walter Robinson. He's so masterful too at his craft. I tell you, he teaches a class in stage performance at Berkeley.
Oh. That was Livingston Taylor doing Carolina Day. This is Notes from an Artist on CygnusRadio.com.
Tells kids how to treat the audience, and he's pretty good. You know, it's a good class. Very good.
If only he'd come out of his shell and open up a little.
Yeah, he's teaching the Miles Davis way to perform.
That was the best when we did that last gig on the Vineyard, and he came. It was such a treat. I hadn't seen Liv in so long. It was just really great when he comes in. Man, he is kind of like a Klieg light just got turned on the set. You know, it's real bright and exciting when he enters. And he's pretty special.
I wish I knew when you guys were doing that gig. I would have come up.
Oh, dang! It would have been great to see you, Dave. Yeah, we had a nice time on the video. We'd done a bunch of.
We didn't have any comps. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's all right. That's all right. Tom would pay for me.
Yes, of course.
God, you guys think you didn't have any comps? Oh my dear goodness. Well, anyway, the more the merrier over there. But we had the best time, and we had done about 8 or 9 shows before then. And so we were all greased up, raring to go. It was so fun. We had Albert Lee on that show, and he did some numbers on his own. We had Peter Asher, and he did some of his numbers. And then they let me out on stage. And we even had a wonderful backup singer, a gal named Carol Lee. And she just nailed it every night.
Where did you use Hodgson Roof?
No, we played at the Tabernacle.
Oh, great.
Oh.
I was there for Illumination Night.
Oh, great. What, this year? This year?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, we had the Tabernacle, thinking about the show last winter, about doing the show on the Vineyard. I thought about the different venues, and it was still, we're in the middle of COVID. Things were looking better because there was vaccine on the way, but people didn't know exactly what we were going to be needing in terms of protection inside a building. So I called the Tabernacle because it's an outside. They got a roof, but the walls are open walls.
Yes.
And so thought that would, and there's plenty of room. People wanted to space out. With space, there was room for that. And the thing about that space is that the sound is a real challenge because it was built the same time as the Eiffel Tower, and it's made out of iron, some sort of thing. It's like it's structurally it was made for in the 1800s. I don't know when it was, but it was time when they did a lot at the Illumination Night. Is all those little houses they gather in there and sing. They'd have communities, right. And so there was no amplification, so you really had to build a thing, live and we were in there, but the sound was great, the crowd was super, and the sound was good, right, Lee? Didn't you like it?
And we had the ukuleles. We're coming into New York, the ukuleles. We're going to play, it's kind of like a planned open mic at Birdland on November 16. It's called it's called Lineup. And the ukuleles, we're going to go in and do a number. It's me and 4 friends of mine, and we play ukuleles and sing. Really fun. It's really fun.
You go to Nancy's for onion rings after the Tabernacle gig. You can't miss those onion rings.
Oh, really? I've never had them. I got to go in.
It's diagonal to Murdoch's Fudge.
Oh man, that's a heart attack corner right there.
That's it.
I'm going back now. Yeah, wasn't the Tabernacle like a Methodist enclave?
Yes, it was. It's a Methodist campground. Yep.
Yeah, and they said in the beginning, all those beautiful little tiny houses all around there were tents.
Right.
And then eventually they made it permanent, put in all these, like this gingerbread village, like Hansel and Gretel in there. It
really is. And believe it or not, you don't own your land, because my wife and I were looking to possibly purchase one of those. But when you buy one of those little gingerbreads, you buy the house. Martha's Vineyard owns the land.
Wow.
Which I thought was very interesting.
Yeah. So they have specific rules of how you stuff about the place, but it makes for a wonderful little scene in there. And you go in and they're very welcoming. I mean, it's not like it's this closed community. They want the public, to come off of Circuit Avenue and walk through there, and kind of you get into a pace that's different than normal life.
The guy came up to me after sound check, introduced himself, and he started telling me about it, and he took me on a trip, took me to his house. I was filming everything. I filmed the inside of his house, his neighbors, all kinds of stuff, and I ended up posting it as one of my videos on my YouTube.
I'll go and look at it. Oh, that's fun.
It's amazing how unbelievably accepting and giving, they were. Just it was just a joyous thing to be out on the road together. And it was like this really funny pack of people. There was just a few cars, and everybody was speaking. It wasn't like a tour bus thing or anything like that. So everybody was off having adventures, and then we would compare notes, at dinner time. Where did you guys stop, and what did you do? And then we'd gather for a meal, and it was really harken back to old school.
Yeah.
Which is really still some of the most treasured memories I have, was back in those days of being out in a Winnebago or something like that, and really just hardcore touring.
Yeah.
Well, one of the topics David and I always address is the album format in the 21st century. And for David, for some of our younger viewers, we need to show them what an album is. Now, this is known as a record album. Okay, now, remember these, David? You pulled it out. You see, you can't take these on an exercise bike or anything. You actually have to sit and listen to them and contemplate. And what's even more exciting is you have credits on the back, and you can read about who the bass player was. Let's see, who played bass on this? Leland Sklar. Oh, look at that. He played bass on all the tracks. Then, for you guys, if you had a bigger budget, they used to have a thing called gatefolds.
Oh, yeah.
Actually show
we used those with seeds, wasn't that?
The seeds, yes.
Seeds and things.
But even more exciting is they'd have a picture of the bass player.
Oh, that's great. Oh, my God. Look at that there, Lee.
That bass is sitting in the other room right now.
Oh,
there it is.
My main instrument.
And believe it or not, David, there's actually a song on here on this. How did he ever make good in the music business?
No. He became a professional bowler.
Oh, he did. But there's actually a song on here, David, where the bass solo is the hook of the song.
That was Kate's brother, James, doing Your Smiling Face with our other guest, Lee Sklar, on the bass. This is Notes from an Artist on CygnusRadio.com.
Just shows you
how important the bass man is.
How important the record format is. And, of course, you have all sorts of funny pictures in there. Talking about the album in the 21st century, is the album format relevant? Like, we'll talk about the tracks, but I listened to this as a whole piece of music, start to finish, and I know you probably took a lot of effort in sequencing the track, Good Day Sunshine, the title track, et cetera, et cetera. But now we live in a streaming world. Is the album format still relevant to you both?
I love the idea of the collection of songs. I saw some 78 albums, some actual album folios that look
like the album.
Album. And the sleeves are in this booklet. And so I just think I like that concept of an album. For me, I just liked being able to get in the studio, get all those done. But I don't know, do people, and I love the vinyl because, just those things you were saying about being able to read who's on it, who's playing, who's a guest appearing on it. But I think that there's something to be said for just being able to fire off, 3 or 4 or 5 tunes, boom, and just kind of get them out there and feed the beast fresh material kind of consistently or not or whatever, but just get something out there. I couldn't let go we had 14 songs on that record, and I wouldn't have been able to let go of any of them.
Yeah. And of course the sequencing has a lot to do with the journey that you take from 1 to 14. Yeah.
Right. Peter Asher was the one who sequenced that. Nobody does it better than Peter. Nobody. He's brilliant. When you think about what he's done and where he's been and where he's been just smack dab in the middle of all of it. The deepest parts of it, and most importantly, he had Paul McCartney living in his house when he was a teenager. I mean, give me a break.
That was Peter and Gordon, Peter Asher, Gordon Waller, and that was a tune written by Lennon McCartney, A World Without Love. This is Notes from an Artist on CygnusRadio.com.
The guy, I did learn some more things about Peter, which I found fascinating. Like, his father was a very beloved and illustrious doctor and had in London and developed some pretty important diagnoses. And his mother, I think she played the London Symphony Orchestra as a oboe. So he was in this environment. Anyway, he's got a great story, and his ears, what I love about it is he really listens, and he's got this exceptional ear for a song. Think about it and put it in his pocket and think, someday I'm going to be producing a singer that I'm going to want this song for. And then he pulls it out. And that's like what he did on Good Day Sunshine. He said he'd heard that version of Good Day Sunshine years ago and hoped, someday find a singer to sing and to sing it. Ta-da! Let me have it.
Funny, I spoke to Peter in 2019. It was at the Paley Center. I interviewed him. It was on the anniversary of Abbey Road, I believe. Right, it was 69 Abbey Road. And he was just a little bundle of energy, and it's as if the record was made yesterday for him.
Wow.
Lee, what about the album format? You played on a few records yourself. Is the long player still important?
I think at this point, it's first off, it's a generational thing. I think if we're talking to people in our generation, the album was a very important aspect of our lives. But you talk to the last two generations, I think its significance completely diminished. Where I remember when we'd be in the studio, we worked so hard because the album was telling stories from top to bottom. And you'd figure, how's it going to start? How's side A going to end emotionally? Take that Japanese tea ceremony moment, turn the record over, wipe it down, set it down. How is side B going to start? And I remember so many projects I worked on, we would go to mastering and we'd all be sitting there, even though it wasn't our album, we play it, but we'd be sitting there and hear that first track go by. And as soon as it ends, you go, that's where the second song begins. You'd be just figuring out emotionally how this whole thing laid out.
That was the Lyle Lovett Large Band doing the Clifford Brown classic, The Blues Wall. This is Notes from an Artist, CygnusRadio.com.
I hear albums being streamed and they're out of order that my psyche knows. And I find it so disruptive to hear a song that's not supposed to be following that one suddenly appear. It's just technology changes and you kind of go with it. But we've entered that time. I know when I was touring with, there's an artist I work with, Judith Owen, who's married to Harry Shearer. And when we were on the road, we sold more vinyl than CDs.
That was Judith Owen with Lee Sklar and Pedro Segundo doing September, the Earth, Wind & Fire tune. This is Notes from an Artist on CygnusRadio.com.
There's this resurgence of, must be fun to have a turntable company that people are actually doing something other than this with their turntable. Right. Yeah. I think it really is a generational thing. And like Kate said, there's something about being able to just grab a tune, like you're listening to something and on Spotify or something, and you just want to hear that tune. And you grab it up and you don't have to pull up the album and go through the whole thing. But for listening pleasure, my preference would still be just to sit back and listen without distraction. Because everybody seems to use music as background for some other thing they're doing. Got their earbuds in and they got something playing, but they're washing the car or just talking to friends. And it's this thing as compared to sitting down, having a good sound system and be able to immerse yourself in the musical experience that the artist wanted to create out of that. To me, that's the magic of it, and that would be my preferred way. But my personal mantra is always, don't become an old fart. And things change, and you want to be engaged in all of it, so you deal with everything. I would rather go back, and listen to Edison wax spools. Okay. Yeah.
Well, also with an album, I think, with streaming, which does expose a lot of music, you don't get the whole picture of the artist. It's like, I think, David, one of our interviewees said, if the only Eagles song you heard was Hotel California, well, you think that's all they did.
Well, it's like Kate said, too, though, the way you keep your brand alive is content in this day and age. So, it's like with our band, we wanted to release our album, but it really wasn't right. But we had a stockpile of material, so we released 3 EPs during the course of the lockdown. So we had stuff being played and doing videos and stuff, but it didn't represent the album, which was a conceptual piece of work from top to bottom. So now the album is out there. And then also during the course of the lockdown, and we're waiting, we kept creating. So we went back in the studio and did another album, which is unbelievably good. And we'll release that next year, probably about 85 to 90% finished at this point.
Wow.
The creative juices don't stop because of a virus, but the ability to get it out there was stifled. So, as things slowly open up, and you just pray that things open up safely.
So what are your thoughts on the fact that I can watch the ukuleles, maybe do a streaming show, and that as a hybrid between the live performance, the recorded performance? Because look, COVID's with us. It's hard to get out on the road now. There's so many travel restrictions in Europe and the United States. Every state has different COVID laws, for God's sakes. It's tough. You've got to play 3 or 4 gigs a week to break even for most bands. And the venues aren't there anymore. A lot of them shut down. So what are your thoughts on actually doing one-off special streaming performances?
Man, you're making it sound really good.
Well, I mean, you got to, necessity is the mother of invention.
Yeah.
Frank Zappa is the mother of invention.
For me, there's nothing like the live show.
Which we don't want to replace.
And I don't think there's any disputing that union with the audience and the band together, and that audience especially, and the lights and what you hear, the room sound that you hear, and that you feel when you're going live. It's different, but I do think that it is a miracle that we have the capability to do what you're saying, the streaming concerts, because you can, almost get there, and it really feels good. And also perhaps like to be able to see Ron do the one-man bass show. What an opportunity. And not everybody can get to the venue.
I think it's fantastic, personally, because I get letters all the time, comments from people going, are you guys coming to Illinois? Are you guys coming to Denver? Are you guys, to be able to do one concert and reach a global community is pretty magical as compared to playing in Denver, and you can only pull local Denver people to your gig. Right. If you can incorporate the two, where you could sometimes do a concert and live stream it so that you have a live audience experiencing the show and driving your emotions in the show, but then being able to put it out to an audience, which also then archives it. So if it's in a weird time zone, people can come back, pay for it, and watch it at their leisure, and maybe several times. I think we should take full advantage of everything that's available in the technology and make it all positive. To me, and especially the idea of, like $10 or $20 or something to see a concert where, people are going to see some of these big ticket shows and they're paying, a few $1,000 for like a floor seat. Then if they have something like that to be able to live stream it and say, instead of that, it's going to cost you $35. Why not? I mean, you can still make revenue on these things. And maybe you're playing a live concert in a room that holds like 1,000 people, but you might live stream and pull in 55,000 people on that. So if you're charging $10, you're still making decent money on it. So to me, a critical thing at this point is not so much how to monetize things, but how to expose things and bring people in so that
how
they
to be
can
able to play and be able to play, and then also let people have an opportunity to hear.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's been such a treat seeing you guys.
Can't wait another 50 years for the interview, but congratulations on a great record. Lee, congratulations on great work. It's good to hear your voice again, Kate.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Bravo.
Yeah.
Good to hear old friends in these times. And
I know. Send us some links so we can put it on the stuff. We can,
Sure, it's the magic of radio. We'll see you guys when you get to the East Coast. Definitely, Lee, and let us know. We'll plug your stuff. Kate, we'll see you again. We'll see you soon, Lee. Over and out.
Bye, guys. Bye, Tom. Bye, Dave.
Bye-bye.
Just great. I want to thank our guests Kate Taylor, Lee Sklar, and of course my partner in crime, Tom Semioli, for another fabulous, informative interview. I would encourage all of you to go out and pick up Why Wait by Kate Taylor and the immediate family recording of the same name. I would also encourage you, if you have missed any of our previous shows or want to listen again, we invite you to our podcast also titled Notes from an Artist, which you can find on all major podcast players or at notesfromanartist.buzzsprout.com. So this is David Gross for Tom Semioli and Kate and Lee. Thanks for listening, and we will see you next week, where our guest will be Rock and Roll Hall of Famer Lenny Kaye. We'll see you then. Have a great week.